Yeah, we're supposed to maybe it's over if you're always part of this all.
We're going to get started. Wow. Gosh, Thomas, which one is which? Hello, hello, hello. But which? I got two. I've got two.
Talk louder.
Hello, hello.
I didn't hear him click.
All right, roll call. Tim Chiara's here. Linda Alexander.
Here.
Thomas C. Here. David Hughes.
Here.
Catherine Franklin is not here. Chloe Kevin.
Present.
Right, we have a forum. All right. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Minutes approval, we all had a chance to look at minutes. We have a
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Okay, the minutes are accepted for January. Yes, but you're number 2 at this point.
Okay.
All right, Deb? Test, test. Here. You can leave it there, or you can pick that.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Funny there.
Try that.
Hi. Can you hear me? I have a teacher's voice. I don't need this, but my name is Debbie Clark. I'm the new president of North Shore Business Association. I came to visit you today because I had this thing happen that was so fun in Nice. I had a walkabout with Maria Turner. She came and walked around the whole section around my shop, the park. She saw what's going on in town with people parking, cars and things. And as of this week, we're missing some of those cars. That means that they actually red tagged them and they were picked up. She was very surprised about a few things, and it was kind of exciting. I've been working, since Gary was code enforcement. Before he was supervisor, you guys, he was code enforcement. It's a little secret, but anyway, there's a form. I hear a lot of people complaining about code enforcement, and there's a form that you fill out online. You go straight to Google, you put Lake County Code Enforcement, you go down, you hit it, then you go down and you hit the code enforcement form, and then it gives you a list of everything, and you pick it, and you have other people do it with you. You have to have 5 or 6 people make the complaint with you. If you only make one complaint, it's not going to work. So I call them like my little groupies, but we find a place that's acting up, so you know where they are, and we fill out the forms together. Sometimes people do not have a computer, but they might be like 95 years old and they don't even know what a computer is. Just kidding. But I sit down with them and I show them how to do it. So let's say they still don't do anything. I want to thank E.J. Crandall. Thank you very much. He hooked me up and said, do this, do that. And I went straight to Maria because it was not getting taken care of. I'm talking really bad stuff. And so once she did that walkabout with me, she could see it. She's been to many meetings in town, in Nice at the fire department. But you know, when you come through Nice, it's so beautiful. You know, you don't even notice things until somebody points them out to you, you know, if you live there. So we've got to start. This morning when I left, I was in this building this morning. Oh gosh, I think I live here. But anyway, I was in here this morning. And as I drove, it looked so beautiful all the way through Nice. The cars were removed. There was the mobile homes gone. The bus is just about ready to go. I'm very excited about that. So I guess I'm here because I hear a lot of people complaining, and if you get a group together, well, you're a large group, I think that you can get something done. I know it sounds really simple, and let me tell you, it's taken me 2 or 3 years to get some of those things taken care of. The second thing I want to talk about, I just need 1 minute. It's for...
I'm listening.
Okay. The St. Patrick's Day fundraiser at North Shore Business, for North Shore Business Association. It's a full fundraiser for Vision of Hope Village. It's very close to my heart. I took care of somebody for 30 years that was on the spectrum. He just passed away, so it's huge for me. This is a wonderful project. We're going to team up with them, and I left flyers for you. It's beautiful. We're going to have a full St. Patty's Day dinner, and I really think that having Vision of Hope at that center is going to be fabulous for Nice. I just have this feeling we need a place for people to gather in that town. So that's all I have to say. And again, I want to say thank you to EJ and Mireya Turner. You've seen her on the live screen many times.
Deb, this process you're talking about with the complaint, doing the complaints, can you...
Let me show you how to do it real quick.
No, just write it down and do the steps, and then I can mail it to everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
I'll give you my email address.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
But I did it with my husband, and he's totally not techie, and he was able to do it, and he has dementia. So, so you know, he'll probably forget tomorrow. But anyway, he did it today. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I came up from Nice just to tell you about that. It was just beautiful. Yes.
You have the flyers with you, right?
Yes, I do. I have them right here, and I did put one up at the store at Upper Lake, but anyway, I'll just come around and put some at each table, and it's going to be yummy. Donate if you can.
What you got, Lynn? Wait. To who? Who are you talking about?
The woman that was just up there.
Deb Clark.
You're talking
Talking
about
about Nice.
Nice in general, okay.
So, what do you got?
Well, I'm scared to even be up. Manzanilla Drive is I'm hearing gunshots all night long
I don't hear
at a particular property. And he's got a house there too. And, yes, and I gave him the address. Do I need to say the address? I mean, these are dangerous people. And I'm terrified. I gave it to him, EJ. The address.
Major echo going on there, Tom.
Okay, sure.
Can I just say one more thing to answer that question?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Thank you. I've had people like that behind my house, and you have to use the code enforcement form. I know it sounds okay. Okay, then, yes, and the next thing you do is you call the sheriff's department, okay? And the next thing you do is you go to somebody above them. Because recently, well, right, but there's a sheriff. There's also a sheriff. Did you actually talk to the sheriff? Because I've had the same, I had somebody doing really bad things behind my house. And it was super bad. And I had to actually talk to the sheriff.
Face to face.
Yes, I had to have a meeting with the sheriff. Because when the deputies would come, they would say, we can't do anything about it. Recently that happened. Somebody was parked in a driveway, actually pulled down the no trespassing, no parking sign, and the deputy told them, I'm sorry, we can't do anything about it because you don't have a chain across your driveway. This is on Howard Street.
Yep.
Okay, so we went over that person's head, and now everything's off of that property. I understand the property that you're talking about, but you have to really,
They told me it was CHP, I called CHP.
Yes.
I said there's no license plate. This is a residential street.
yes, I was pulled over when my boat did not have a license plate, and I was given a ticket, so I'm very upset about those kind of things myself.
They're just dumping, they're stealing, chopping.
Yes, but you have to turn in each vehicle. I noticed there are some more vehicles there today, and you have to,
Denise Post Office.
yes, I know exactly where you're talking about. Yes, yes,
Place next to
yes.
you with all the cars out.
It's awful.
Okay.
They have some new vehicles, and so what happens is the,
Blocking the road, too.
yes,
They've
yes,
got,
yes.
it's a homeless encampment that's moved on the street. Those are squatters. Those are people that don't even know.
There are other things that you can do. There's one other thing, let me just finish. There were 3 motorhomes parked behind my house, and so I called the health department because I said, I wonder where, when they were going to the bathroom, where it was going. And they found out, I also called Water Resources, and they found out that it was going right into the culvert. I went crazy over that because I've worked really hard on cleaning out the culverts up by my property on top of Lakeview. So anyway, it's almost like a multi-agency. It's not just EJ, it's not just the sheriff, it's everybody. And I'm really worried about sanitation. I saw the new RV there. Yes, but that's Water Resources, right? Okay, so oil going into that, and there's a culvert, so you could really make a case. There's a huge culvert that goes straight under the Brown Mansion, which is now Worldmark. I had my prom there, so I know it. And we used to go under that. Anyway, there's a culvert that goes under it, and that is your argument right there.
Straight to the lake.
Straight to the lake. They do not want any oil going into that lake. So I know, you have no idea how many letters I've written, and it's a lot of work, but.
Do you want to talk?
Not right now.
No, yeah, I'm
Because
not gonna.
he's really
No, I know.
a lot of
It's a fishing game, too.
Yeah, fishing game, yeah.
Yeah.
But those are all on now.
Thomas.
I just got quick public input for myself for the Vision of Hope Village. If you're not familiar with that, my wife Robin and Tracy and other people started this they started it 2 years ago to help bring activities.
Please. Thank you, Thomas. Go ahead. Lynn, please.
She was talking to me.
They're bringing activities to
I know, I get yelled at all the time. Yeah, I get yelled at a lot right here. Okay.
bringing activities for kids, young adults with autism and disabilities. They're 2 years into it. We've done a lot of activities in the recent last couple of years, and their offices are now at the event center, working to do events like the St. Patty's dinner combination with NSBA, We have other things coming up for them, exciting news. They're going to be doing a community market starting in June. And if you're interested in having a booth there, we'd love to have you. And just go to Facebook page, Vision of Hope Village, and you can contact them through there or go to their website. We want to bring this stuff, I mean, they want to bring this stuff, and I'm supportive of this, of course, to the North Shore. Many things happen in this county, including great things happen. The Para Festival, the Berry Festival, which I've all been to, and they all participate in those. But we want to bring these things to the North Shore. And this is going to be a really great thing. So they're going to do the community market once a month. It'll be in the evening. And if you're interested in having a booth, I think it's a small fee to get have it. And so there's a lot of great things going to be happening with the Vision of Hope Village soon. And if you have any young adults or children in your life that have disabilities or autism, please join the Facebook page, and you'll see things you can be able to do, and things will be coming out of that. Okay?
Thank you, Thomas. All right. Any more public input? Anybody? Okay. We have a guest tonight, Terry Logsdon, who is the Chief Climate Resiliency Officer of the county.
Thank you. There we go. I'll go up there.
Okay. Except that if you're standing over there, you won't be able to see this too good. Okay, all right. All right. Then I will stop talking. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Terry Logsdon. I'm the Chief Climate Resiliency Officer and Tribal Liaison for the County of Lake. You may remember that I was here last year talking about my new position with the county. And so I'm going to go through a couple of these slides really fast because they're just a recap of what I already talked about, just an update. But I also wanted to give you the survey results. If you recall, if you were here last year at the meeting that I was at, we did surveys about climate change and the needs of Lake County. And so I have some results. And you can go to the next slide, Tammy. And so my position is funded from a Cal OES Jumpstart grant, which is funds that come down from FEMA. And the purpose of my position is to focus full-time on local resilience strategies, interlinking ecology and resilience, and working with a broad spectrum of stakeholders to identify challenges and capabilities. And so really I like to think of my job as being a hub between county departments and outside agencies to come together to, identify issues that are weather related or hazard related and try to find solutions for them. You can go to the next slide. And what I was supposed to do was meet with the cities and tribal governments and the county municipal advisory councils and town halls, which I've done, and conduct the initial surveys, and then take a look at the results of those surveys, which we'll get to in a few minutes, and develop action plans. They're not really written action plans, but it will guide what I do for the next year. You can go to the next slide. And so, some of the major things, I continue to support the redevelopment of the Lake County Fire Safe Council, which is a program of the Lake County Resource Conservation District. We're still trying to figure it out, but we're building the capacity of the Fire Safe Council. They'll be giving a presentation to the Board of Supervisors this coming Tuesday on what they've been doing for the last year. And then support the implementation of NCO's Home Hardening Demonstration Project, which is really exciting that it's happening here in Lake County. And then support emergency evacuation routes and any new resiliency projects. We received a grant, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but that is going to allow the Community Development Department to create a evacuation route plan for the entire county. And one of the things that Director Mireya Turner, where'd you go down? Oh, right there. Is going to be doing is coming back to you and to all of the town halls and councils to get feedback on those plans. And we hope to participate in Neighbor Fest events that NCO may be hosting and any kind of community events to get feedback. Because one of the things I heard here last year was the concerns then that Elk Mountain Road was closed due to the damage from the fires and the flooding, and there was concern that if there was a flood that blocked you off, you wouldn't have a way to evacuate. And so we're going to look at that and do the plan. I've been supporting the Department of Public Works, who has right now for open comment the Soda Bay Road Corridor, which is, along the Rivieras that goes from Red Hills Road all the way through Lakeport. So they have an evacuation route plan. They had written a grant a couple years ago, and that's up for public comment right now, and will close on March 9th and should be completed. You can go to the next slide. I continue to look for grant funding. I've started a county grant group, as I call it, with county departments to talk about funding, because so much of the funding opportunities that come down these days, particularly under some of the federal programs, are looking for collaboratives to apply. And so the collaboratives can be county departments in and of themselves or with outside agencies. And so there is a group that is part of the Lake County Community Risk Reduction Authority, which is a joint powers authority that has a committee that's about to be restarted that's called the Grants Best Fit, and that is for the county and agencies and any nonprofit or any organization to come together to work on funding opportunities. As I mentioned, I'll go over the grants that I've applied for, and also community development is updating the hazardous vegetation and combustible materials ordinance to include dealing with the vegetation that's in and near creeks. While this time of year that overgrowth of vegetation can cause flooding, during the summer times when the creeks are dry, they can be a pathway for fires. So we want to update that ordinance to make it easier for vegetation removal. You can go to the next slide. Let's see, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, we needed to be updated. We worked on that update, got to the public comment portion, and then it went to the staff and administration before I began working. They didn't really have the capacity to incorporate all of those public comments. And so we pulled together NCO and CLERC, the Clear Lake Environmental Research Center, and Red Cross, and we went through, and the Siegler Springs Community Redevelopment Association, and we went through the hundreds and hundreds of public comments that we had and put them into the Community Wildfire Protection Plan and got that adopted by the Board of Supervisors. And having that, when we got it done, having that in place allowed 4 different organizations in the county to apply for a specific pot of money, and each one of those grants is in the $5 to $10 million range. So if we get them, there will be a lot of work done in Lake County for hazardous fuels and vegetation maintenance. And then I'll keep coming back to report on the work that I'm doing and before the Board of Supervisors. You can go to the next one. And so in 2023, what I did last year is our new hazard mitigation plan, the local HMP as the acronym goes. I was able to help and put climate change in each of the sections and added a new one for mitigation actions related to tree mortality. I'm sure that you are all aware that the county has declared a state of emergency for pervasive tree mortality for the bark beetles, which are a native beetle. They've just exploded in Lake County. I know that everyone everywhere throughout the county has seen their pine trees start to brown at the top or on the tips, and then pretty soon it goes really fast. Well, we have another new pest that is making its way, and it's the Mediterranean oak borer, and that is an invasive species, and it is coming up from Napa through Middletown, Lakeport, and we thought, we being the University Cooperative Extension, the forester, Dr. Mike Jones, we had only had reports that it had made it as far as South Lakeport, but we have just learned from people doing work in the Mendocino Forest that it's already up there. And so that is going to be devastating to oak trees in Lake County. So we need all the funding we can get to make sure that we can get a handle on these invasive pests, because I don't know about you, but I love trees. So you can go to the next one. And then the first thing, I finally convinced the Governor's Office of Planning and Research to invite Lake County to participate in the Biomass Aggregation Pilot Project, which may come with a bioeconomy development opportunity zone. And that's a word salad, I'm sure, but the opportunity zones are something that the government places, you qualify for, and it allows different funding. Well, this is a new one, which is on what they're calling now the bioeconomy, which is basically biomass utilization. And so we want to be able to attract businesses that can take in these dead and dying trees, or trees that are fine but need, mitigation, fuels mitigation work. And instead of just making them into wood chips, have companies that can produce, bioenergy, electricity, create biochar. But we want to get this designation, which will help us attract more companies to help us, because we have a huge issue. And so I'm working on that. That should come before our Board of Supervisors within the month to approve that contract. I serve on the Clear Lake-Hitch Task Force Planning Committee. And on this other project, which is pretty exciting, it's called Charm Lake County. Government, we love the acronyms. This is Climate, Health, Adaptation, and Resilience Mobilizing. And it's from the Public Health Institute in Tracking, California, with the Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians. And so that is a really nice collaborative that we're working on. I serve as the host of the Tribal Environmental Education Advisory Committee, which UC Davis is creating an app-based environmental education, because through the Blue Ribbon Committee for the Rehabilitation of Clear Lake, one of the things that the committee heard was that students are not learning about Clear Lake. They're not learning about what the lake is, what makes it healthy, what makes it sick. And so they're doing this environmental project, and I think it's exciting. It'll be rolled out in the schools and with community organizations. I guess we can go to the next one. And so some of the grants that I've either applied for or collaborated on in the last year, we have requested a total of $66,735,758 in 9 grant requests. So far, we've been awarded almost $800,000, and the major one is the one that's in the center here, the Adaptation Planning Grant, and that is a grant with the Resource Conservation District, and it is funding the climate vulnerability analysis, the climate adaptation plan, the evacuation route for the county. And so, again, this is one of those grants where you have a collaboration between the county and outside agencies that is going to bring the funds to do the work that we need done in Lake County. We had applied for a $20 million grant from the USDA. We did not get that. You can go to the next one. We currently have a request, it's called CDAA, the California Disaster Assistance Act, for tree mortality for the hardest hit area in the county, which is in the South Lake County, and just to remove the trees from the county right away, which doesn't include Highway 175 or 29 that goes through, just the county roads, is over the estimated cost is $21 million. And so we're working with Cal OES to figure all of that out. We don't have an amount. I think we will get some, but we need to, like I said earlier, address the issue with trees. You can go to the next one. And this is just some of the other grants. You can go to the next one. And then the part that I really want to talk about is the results. You can go to the next one. And so, as you can see from the graph on the left, I had a pretty good overall sampling of Lake County. People from Findlay, Kelseyville, Lakeport. The area in here that says other included Big Valley, Loch Lomond, Witter Springs, Blue Lakes. Someone very specifically put Argonaut Road between Lakeport and Kelseyville. And then 2 from Sonoma County that own vacation homes here, and so they took the survey anyway. And most of the people who took the survey have lived here 11 to 25 years or more than 25 years. And so, as we all know, we meet people who've only been here for a few years, but then you have people who've been here for 30, 50, 100, and more than that. You can go to the next one. And then I asked folks, do you think climate change is real? And as you can see, the overwhelming majority of people think that climate change is real, and they also think that, and they're also concerned about Lake County's natural environment, the health of the lake, wetlands, and the fisheries. You can go to the next one. And then I asked folks about climate change has me concerned about the well-being of future generations, and should we teach climate change causes and consequences and solutions in primary school, K through 12? And overwhelmingly, it was yes, particularly for future generations. And so I thought that was interesting that strongly agree on climate change is real and we should teach our students. Go to the next one. And then in the last 12 months, has your household, family, or building, your home or job been negatively impacted by drought, tree mortality, or heat? And as you can see, let's see, only 10% of the people surveyed had no impacts whatsoever, but 90%, somewhere in their life, they were impacted by those issues. And then, how concerned are you about droughts becoming stronger, longer, or more frequent? Again, this was less than 4% were not concerned at all. And so those are, people are thinking about that and they're feeling the impact. I know all of us right now are watching the lake and watching the creeks and wondering, because of the way the atmospheric rivers are coming in at, all at one time. That's part of what they predict in climate change. And then, you go to the next one. Oh, interesting. Okay, I was wondering if I had the same thing. I said interesting because I didn't know if I printed out the right copy. So people are really concerned about losing access to Lake County's clean and reliable drinking water. Most folks in Lake County actually get their drinking water from the lake. I think it's 60%. And so issues that impact the lake impact your drinking water quality, the cost of the drinking water. A lot of people are on wells, and during the year before last, I didn't write down the number, but quite a few people's wells went dry, which is a big concern. It's hard, to maintain your household when you have to have water trucked in. And then I asked people, how has your household been exposed to any of the following weather hazards? Most everyone has been impacted by power outages, which I think we all have recently. Heat waves, winds, extreme cold, drought, and tree mortality. The very last one is dry well. A lot of people, their wells are okay. It was just in that 1 year where we had a lot of dry wells, but Water Resources is looking at that. You can go to the next one. And then, how concerned are you about flooding from rainfall becoming heavier? People are concerned. There is only 12% who are not concerned at all about that issue. But what's interesting, most people are concerned about flooding and rainfall, and yet 41% of the people don't know if they're required to have flood insurance, or if they have flood insurance. And even more concerning is 36% of people don't have flood insurance, even though they're required to have it. Our national flood insurance program is administered through Water Resources. It will soon be transferring over to community development. And so the county, I'm not sure of the mechanism. The county is like the go-between. It's unusual for it being for your private property, but if you are required to have flood insurance, or if you have any concerns, I encourage you to get flood insurance. And this is good. Most residents feel they're well prepared for climate hazards and that their homes are compliant with both state and county defensible space mitigations and vegetation removal. You can always call CAL FIRE. They'll come out and do, do you remember the number, the inspection name? When they do their, I don't remember either, the defensible space inspections, and they're looking to update it. And so there will be a requirement in the next few years that you have to have what they call hardscape around your home for 5 feet. That means no flowers, no shrubs, no trees, no wooden structures, and that will go in effect probably pretty soon. And it's the number one way to protect your home in a fire, is to keep anything flammable 5 feet away. If you have a wooden fence that meets up to your house, the first 5 feet, make it metal. It will really help. And so I'm really happy to see that almost all residents feel that they are in compliance with defensible space. Next one. And nearly everyone knows what Know Your Zone means. It used to be called Zone Haven, so it made a little bit of sense. Now the company is Project Genesis. You can get all that information from the Sheriff's Department from their website. I encourage you, because in the event of an emergency, they call it out by these zones. And that most people, 84%, say that they feel like they know all routes to take in an evacuation from their home or business. Next one. Nearly everyone is concerned about rising temperatures in Lake County, as well as more frequent and stronger wildfires. Not at all concerned was 3% on both of those questions. Next one. And very few believe that enough is being done by business or government to adapt to climate change and weather hazards. Next one. And this one I thought was really interesting, and maybe it's just the people who attended the events, but 61% of Lake County residents agree or strongly agree that they would be willing to pay $10 a month to strengthen infrastructure like roads and bridges in Lake County. I know that the county has tried over the years for there to be a tax measure for sales tax to protect the lake, to work on that, and nothing has passed. A lot of residents have voted against funding their fire departments, and so I thought it was really interesting that 61% would be willing to pay for infrastructure. So I think that's something to keep in mind.
Just a comment. The 61% is what the fire department got. They needed 2/3.
Right.
So it's not surprising that it's the same. It's just the same people that don't want it.
Right.
For whatever reason that they say.
Yeah. No.
But it is exactly what the both ballot measures ended up with.
Right. And so just segueing, and what are the priorities? Let me ask you this. How can we, as a county government or communities, frame the importance of funding, particularly fire departments and new fire stations? Because your homeowner's insurance is tied to how far away you are from a fire department structure. Anybody have any?
Well, my house, we're out at Blue Lakes, right out in front of the firehouse, or right over at Old Pet Acres. That's the closest hydrant to our house, which is 8 miles from us.
Huh.
But everyone at Blue Lakes either got their insurance canceled or it doubled or tripled.
For fire?
The
Not for flooding.
Fire insurance. Those on the lake that have flood insurance, they may have it, may not have it. And those of us that are up in the higher, we just had our insurance tripled. So
It's such an issue in California and Lake County in particular. I wish I had an answer for fire insurance, that's for sure. I mean, we do have the FAIR plan, but it is not cheap. Yeah. Go ahead.
I pay $5,000 a year with AAA. When I talk to AAA agent in Lakeport. He said, Nice is paradise. It's a paradise ready to burn down, the town of Nice. And that was his answer, the insurance agent at AAA. Sorry, you're gonna have to pay $5,000 a year. And I garden, I have no trees. My plot, you can eat on it, it's perfect. But the people around me are dirty, trash, they don't weed, nothing around my house, in my neighborhood.
That is an
So
issue.
he said, sorry, too bad, pay $5,000 or no insurance.
Every,
I have no sympathy for the insurance companies.
yeah, no, the insurance company, they're the only, it's interesting, you know, you probably have heard that there's these new fire hazard severity maps that CAL FIRE was released. I know they went around and they presented to the Board of Supervisors and to the cities to show whether you live in a very high or low fire threat area. Pretty much everywhere in Lake County is very high, except the Big Valley area where there's irrigated agriculture. Some area right here in Upper Lake, again, that's right on the lake. But even the city of Lakeport and the city of Clear Lake are high or very high. So it's not, you know, it's a countywide issue. The insurance companies are not allowed to look at that map to make their decisions. You know, it's not that they don't. What they do look at, and why it was so critical for us to get the CWPP in place, is they look at the mitigation actions and if a community has one. And so CWPP's community wildfire protection plans, a neighborhood can have their own. Your council can create one for the Western region area. And it helps lower your insurance, or hopefully get it, or to get it back. It's not a guarantee, but that is what the insurance companies do look at. But I know that the levees and flooding are a priority for your community. Is there anything else that I should look at in the next year as it relates roads? They're going away?
Along with the fire, the medical response teams are activated from, the fire house too. And so I think, when fire chief was here, I think it was last meeting, we talked about, what's keeping people from wanting to move forward, pass a bond to get us up to speed. And he didn't have an answer because it is expensive to run a bond. But I worked on several years ago on it, and I was so felt assured that people really knew the importance of the fire along with the medical, but it didn't pass. So.
We were gonna, we actually have a fire department item. I was gonna mention this, that last month the chief said when he pushed the bond, he had to get 2/3. But if citizens push the bond, it's only majority. So if it was majority, it would have passed at 61%.
Right. But then also the consideration is the cost behind it. It's pretty exorbitant
to run the program.
Run a bond, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Well, that's what.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that a larger forest mitigation grant? Yuba County, I think, got one, and then they spread that out amongst residents and county roads. Is that a similar grant to that grant you're talking about? There's a huge one over that Yuba County got through an institute.
Mm-hmm.
Spread it out into the residents of those communities. It's very expensive to cut wood.
Yes.
All this dead, dying falls.
Yes.
It's gonna ruin your house.
Yes.
In the road, taking the water and the hillside with it. It's very expensive.
It is very expensive.
We've got a lot of little monkeys running around trying to do it, but how do you pay for that?
Right. And
Is that great?
one of the way I may be familiar, they're part of the Tahoe Central Sierra Initiative.
Sierra,
Yeah.
Finley, yeah.
And so they also are part of the biomass aggregation pilot project, which Lake County is going to get into. And what that does is it makes it lucrative for business to process it. And, because we don't have a mill. We need a mill. We need a place to process wood. We get funds every year, we being the county, from Title III funds, which come from the Secure Rural Schools Act, which has to do with, I know that Mr. Lewis probably recalls that, it has to do with the fact that we don't have a lumber industry any longer. And so rural counties that used to get these funding, and it's passed, from the U.S. Forest Service to the county, and it's not a very big amount of money. And what the county does is passes that to the Resource Conservation District to operate the Fire Safe Council, because it's only like $30,000 a year. It's nothing. There wasn't any money. That's exactly what we need. We need young people to want to work on the land. We've got a couple of organizations that are doing that. I'm sorry, what was that, sir?
I said you got to find the people that want to work. Right now, nobody wants to work. It's all free.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, you're looking for manpower. We've got 10 million people flooding our borders. Put them to work.
Oh, yeah.
Clean the roads, the highways, the forests, the parks. Give them something to do instead of just sitting there collecting taxpayer dollars.
Okay. Anyone else? We can go to the last slide. It just has my contact information. And if anyone has any suggestions, please feel free to reach out. The Pillars of Resilience comes from the Tahoe Central Sierra Initiative, actually. And they let us use it, and we have modified it a little bit, where if you see where it says air quality, that used to have a kite, and there used to be a woman in the other, social and cultural well-being, flying a kite, but we thought that, the trees need to have acorns on it, and having an eagle shows that you have clean air, and so we made those changes from suggestions from some of our tribal friends. So if anyone thinks of anything that I can do for your communities, I wish I could fix your roads, but that's definitely in my mind, because as climate keeps changing, we're going to get more of these, cold, hot events, extreme rains, which really leads to potholes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. The other thing that we're working on, we found out we probably are not going to get funding for, which is ODRAG, are what as the state is calling community resilience centers. So our plan is in each community, there is either a senior center or a community center, and we want to build the capacity and the infrastructure of that center to be able to serve as a heating and cooling center during these crazy, heat waves or cold snaps or power outages, so that they have their own power outages. And there's a lot of funding coming down for that. So we're pulling a group together countywide. We will keep continuing to seek funding for that.
Will you go town to town then, as far as the hub for a spot to be for people that are either too warm or
Yeah.
too cold?
The idea is to have, the overarching idea is to have a small facility that's already in the community and make it, better insulated with power backup and be able to serve during power outages, heat waves, cold snaps, but then eventually to build a standalone warehouse and office spaces that can serve as the hub. So if this was a wheel, each of our communities would have a resilience center, and we all remember, the Mendocino complex fires where everyone had to evacuate. When resources come into the county, they typically come on a semi-truck from, state agencies, and they need a place to drop it. And so the fairgrounds has been the de facto place, but they're not really set up for that. So we need a freestanding facility that can accept truckloads, that has a pallet and loading dock and staffing, that during blue sky times, as they call it, when everything is fine and dandy, that there are certain offices there where people can come in and get services, but during a time of an emergency, it would be able to serve as a shelter as well as a hub to receive goods that are coming in and that can be distributed locally to these smaller centers.
So how would public schools factor into that equation? As far as the storage, and in the past, the high school gymnasium was used, and then the middle school as evacuation sites.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering how, I mean, it sounds, pretty plausible, but if we could, reconnect or interconnect with that, those facilities
Mm-hmm.
that might serve the public well.
Yeah, I mean, realizing that if you only have one, full, what we call a CRC, a Community Resilience Center standalone, during the event of an emergency, that may be someplace that has to be evacuated. So we have to make sure that all of our locations that do currently serve as shelters also have all of these resources as well.
Cody, that may be just a little different, like a Red Cross shelter is different than what Terry's talking about as a warming center sorry.
Right, no, I understand that, but I'm still thinking about how that could be incorporated as far as, I'm thinking about a large area to store and have things available.
Right, like Red Cross stages, they've got some containers and a couple, like at our Department of Social Services, at Twin Pine Casino in Middletown, so that there's physically things available in the county to be deployed. That's the kind of thing that we would like to have at the Community Resilience Center so that it's at one location. Supplies that come in, it would have to be a pretty large warehouse space, but it would also be an event space. As we all know, sometimes there's just not a lot of large event spaces. So.
I don't want to be a naysayer about cost, but Lake County is economically deprived. We all have to admit that. We don't get the best wages here, but as far as cost goes, we probably have some of the highest because of our remoteness.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start adding the pennies and nickels together on all the different projects and I like what you're doing. I think it's wonderful. But when you start asking people, I need a dime or a nickel or a quarter or 50 cents, and they start adding those things up, just like when you talk about flood insurance, I've priced it out. It's horrible. And if you don't have it and you have a mortgage, they can kick you out. They own your home.
Right.
And so you're between a rock and a hard spot. So you start adding the price of gas, the price of food, the price of insurance on a home, the price of gasoline, and just keep going. Those things add up to a lot of money.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why the fire issue probably didn't pass, because we have a great majority of senior citizens on this coast, and they're already hurting real bad. But yet, they need it the most.
Right.
And so it's kind of a catch-22. I've been talking to the chief about what we can do about it. We're trying to get our heads together and see if we can make some changes, but it's a real dilemma. And so I admire what you're trying to do, and I hope you get all the help you need.
Thank you. Sadly, our statistics make the case for us. The problem is, as most of us know, the county as a government, not a business, but as an operation, it's expensive to go after grants. And then when you get them, you have to then do the work. And so we have to make sure that when we're writing these grants, we have the capacity to write the grant and to accept the grant and to do the work. And so it really helps, I think, for the county, for me to be in this position, because when I'm working with other departments, I not only have I learned that, but I'm reminding them of that. It's like, okay, we're going to take this money, now this is what we're going to have to do. Right now, there's an unprecedented amount of money coming down from the federal government for just this type of work. And as I said in the beginning, collaboratives are what make it happen with other organization and agency. The county, as you know, we can't do it. We need the community to step up, and whether that's agencies or residents, we can partner and hopefully make a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Well, that's a lot to think about. Okay. Rancho Novoa, do we have any updates? I watched you at the meeting. The what did they call the meeting? Oh, it was a community thing? Oh, planning.
Planning meeting hearing?
Yes.
Yes,
And you presented.
yes.
Okay. And you did a good job.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I
It
appreciate
was
it.
just a shame they had to wait till 3 hours into the meeting.
Yes, it was a long day.
Yes, it was.
Do you wanna?
Do you have anything you'd like to say about
Yeah, I can give you
an
what
update?
happened for those who weren't there.
Please.
Sure. So those of you who don't know, I'm Angie Carter. My husband and I own the Narrows out at Blue Lakes. And the people across the street from us, Mr. and Mrs. Novoa, have applied with the county to get a event permit to hold weddings and quinceañeras and other things across the street from us and have live music going on over there. And so we have been trying to stop the permits basically so that we don't have to have the live music going on. This last one that they held, just kind of update everybody, the last one that they held without the permit in the first part of October, I believe it was, they had over 275 people there with live music and things like that. They've also done a lot of grading, dug a new culvert that now drains into the backside of our property and things like that. So there was a hearing scheduled at the Planning Commission. I guess that's what it's called. I'm probably not saying the right words. Thank you, EJ. Good to see you. January 25th, and then we did receive notice verbally a couple days prior to it that it was going to be continued. We did show up at the hearing just in case, well, because we wanted to be heard. There was probably about 10 to 12 of us that showed up. Most of it may or may not have been my family, but we did have to wait till the very end to be heard, and they were very gracious. They listened to us. I prepared manila envelopes, 10 of them, and handed them out to all of the planning commissioners with photographs and letters and all kinds of detailed information, basically all of our complaints, everything that we've compiled from neighbors and everyone else. So I was able to give those packets to all of them. Then several other people on our side also got up and spoke. So they got to hear us. They seemed very interested in what we had to say, very responsive. You know, it's only supposed to be like a little 3-minute time. They did not stop us from talking. We got to speak longer, at least I did. Got to speak longer than that. The Novoas were also there. She did get up and speak, and she kind of rambled a little bit, which is probably what I'm doing right now too, but they did stop her from speaking. She wasn't, I don't think, prepared to say anything or anything like that. So I kind of felt good about the whole thing. The reason that it was not heard at this time is because the person, from what I understand, the person who was in charge for the county, Eric Porter, is rumored to be retiring. And so, and they said that the permit, maybe I'm insinuating things, I don't know, but that he didn't do his job. I don't think he did his due diligence in investigating everything that he needed to investigate, and that there's more work that needs to be done in order to move the permit along. So now the new person, this young gal who's been assigned it, has a lot of things that she still needs to investigate before it can ever get to the hearing portion of it. So now we wait until they do more investigating. Yeah, Tim?
Do you know the name of the person?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I was looking through my emails and I couldn't find it.
But you'll be able to find.
Yeah, it was like, I want to say Ivish something, I don't know.
And she's in the planning?
She's in the planning department, yes.
Okay.
I can get it and email it to you.
That would be good.
It wasn't like iris, it was something,
Like a flower?
no, no. I don't know. Did you have a?
Yeah, Angie, this is Thomas Aceves. I did watch that at the end, and I had to get all the way to the end to see you guys present your stuff. You did a great job in front of them. My question is, we have a representative on the Planning Commission for District 3, it's Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Has he come out and seen your area? And
He has not. I have sent emails out to all of the commissioners requesting to meet with them individually before that meeting, and I did not get a response. So therefore, I had prepared those packages and sent them to them. Right shortly after the meeting, I did leave on vacation, and I just got back. So I'm going to be following up with emails to them now to see if, now that they've had a chance to review the package, and see if I can schedule a meeting with each of them, especially him, to see if they might be interested in meeting with me.
I would think it's in his best interest, since he's a representative for our district, to
I'm hoping,
meet with you or meet with them as well, and
yeah,
visually see what's going on.
yeah, I'm hoping that they can. I've taken, more pictures and videos, especially with all the rain that has come down on, how the creek where the rainwater should be flowing to is only half full, and the culvert that they now dug that's, going into the backside of our property and into our culvert is now flooding over into our thing. So I've taken pictures of all this and stuff, and so I'll be sending them those as well.
And we don't know when the next meeting or when they will have that continuation.
No, they'll give us a 2-week notice,
Okay.
but I have not heard anything else. Yeah.
Has there been usage on the property?
No one has been out there. They were out there, my husband said, while I was gone. They showed up for like about a half an hour just to basically look and see if there was any damage from the storms. They were just kind of looking around, and then they left.
So this property is just going to be for events. Nobody's going to live there.
No. They have a permit, from what I understand from Mrs. Turner, that they do have a permit for a single-family dwelling, but no one has intent on living there. Because I've had conversations with Mr. and Ms. Novoa. They have no intent on living on the property.
All right.
It is strictly, and their plans call for, I believe, 12 tent sites, but it's strictly for events. And that's what they advertise on their website.
So the camping is like in conjunction with the event?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Did you mention that they rechanneled or diverted a creek to another source, a natural creek?
So the way their property, the flat part of their property, they own about,
I'm kind of familiar with where that creek
Okay.
crosses.
yes. So there's a flat part of their property that they've graded down so it's level. And then the hillside that comes down, so they've taken out, it used to kind of slope along, and then the creek's over here. So now this is all flat, and they've made a culvert along the bottom of that hillside that comes down to the road. Instead, it used to all go down the side to where the creek is at, and about 50% of it would have either soaked into their property and gone to this creek over here. Now it all comes down this hillside into that culvert and right into the backside of our property.
Because I know the laws used to say you could not divert water onto someone else's property.
Code enforcement's been out there, they've all been out there, so I'm assuming that it's part of what they're investigating. I'm in hopes it's what they're investigating, but we shall see. I am doing my damnedest.
Do you have money for a lawyer? Get a lawyer.
I gonna wait and see how this goes. I'll do my own investigation as far as I can, and then when I need to, I'll go that route.
Because you can't divert water onto somebody else's property.
Yeah.
That's a big no-no.
Thank you, Angie.
Thanks.
All right. What do we got? Fire district. Any fire things you want to talk about? Anybody know anything? All right. So the only thing I think of is like maybe working on doing that bond issue thing as private citizens. Do you understand what I said, EJ? That Mike Sancio said that because he was pushing the bond, it had to have 2/3. Yeah. But if like it was just citizens that were organizing, it only had to be. Exactly. You're right. Well, that sounds good. That seems like. I mean, if it was 61% voted for it, and but that would definitely be more than 50%.
We're shooting citizens, kind of like herding cats.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
But like you said, the usage of the medical aspect of the fire department is,
It's not just about fires.
No, but that, he was talking about the letter that came out and that they were going to have to cut back.
Yes.
Well, it's always a personnel problem, and getting folks to come up and commit to stay here, I think that's what he's been dealing with.
All right. Okay. So, what do we got? Oh, here we go. I'm almost reluctant to talk about Iowa. So, so do we have any information that's new about what's going on in your neighborhood? Yeah. I don't know how we can do that unless you can't plug into that.
No. Okay, my name is Dave Hendrick. I live on Sherman Street. And what I'm talking about is Pile Road in the area of Clear Lake Gardens. And all the dumping that's going on up there and people living up there. Queenie's been there over a year. Code enforcement has been out there several times. And last month they said here that all the paperwork's finished and they can tow her out, but they can't do it till spring. And then we have Cody Culver, who's living out in the field, and they're having fires almost every night over there. That's still going on as a regular thing. The fire truck can't make it in there. They already tried once and they got about halfway in. Let's see, what else? What else? Oh, he's driving a Jeep around almost daily with no back plate, only a front plate, and of course nothing's happening about that. But this is just ongoing, and he's been there 9 months, I think, now.
So are basically Cody and Queenie, they're the main focus of trouble?
Yeah, she lives right up there on the hill. Well, she's parked right up there on the hill above the county green waste dump. You can see it from Pile Road. You can see it from Highway 20. It's a horrible looking thing, and they're not doing anything about it.
But you said that they are ready to get rid of it.
They said they are.
Okay, but it won't be till...
They said that we had been told that that was her property, but last week he said, last month,
they said it wasn't her property.
They said it wasn't her property, and they'd reached the owners, and the owners want her off.
And they said the owners didn't want to have anything to do with the property?
Yeah.
So they basically, they're going to put it on the county, I guess, to make or do whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
Is it a paper lot?
Something like that.
It's in this paper subdivision, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I talked to Marcus at that meeting. I think I called you, right? And at the Clear Lake Oaks meeting, the last one they had this month, I asked him directly about this situation with Cody, and he mentioned that they had red tagged his property, but he wasn't there. Have you seen any sign of that red tag or anything like that?
He put a red tag on the day that Supervisor Crandall went out with us, and that was back in June or July last year.
I don't know if he meant that specific time period or recently. It sounds like his team did it recently.
Well, it sounded like he didn't do it then, and to me, that's what it sounded like.
Have you reached out to his office again, or?
I don't get any calls back from them. I don't hear anything from them. And I've filled out those online requests. We've done them over and over again. I've never got a call, never got any response from it. When I call back and say, what happened with it? They go, well, we couldn't find it. Or, we sent somebody out and they looked at it. And that's all the information I get. But what about the fires? You know, you're not even supposed to be burning at night. And of course it's a warming fire, is what they're going to say. So, and the fire chief was like, well, it was just a small fire. Well, it was 4 foot high when I saw it. I mean, I can look out my office window and look over there, and I see flames licking up halfway up their trailer.
So it was a bonfire to you?
It was a bonfire, and that's what they're doing. They'll start a bonfire and get warm, and then I don't know what they do.
Pass out. All right.
So we keep calling the fire department and
Do it,
reporting
man.
them?
I don't know what else to tell you.
That's just an annoyance to the fire department. They're going to get mad at us.
That's fine. Well, you have to be able to take the heat, you know, if you want
Oh, you had to say that.
Well, I mean, it's not, they're going to get to know you. That's acceptable, you know.
Oh, yeah, we've called the health department. The health department actually said that they would come out and look, and I don't think they ever did. But they said they wouldn't do anything unless there was sewage running out on the ground, basically.
I have an idea. And this is for a couple of things. I've just been kind of letting you guys go forward because I don't want to interrupt. You're having a lot of good dialogue. Tuesday, there's going to be on the Board of Supervisors agenda, there is 2 summary abatements. This is where basically we want to get to with this situation. So there's one in Lucerne that's happening Tuesday on 15th Avenue. A lot of problems health-wise, fire-wise, all of that. So if there's a way for someone, like I was telling you earlier, call in, even just come into Zoom and just say, I support this. There is situations like this in my community on Pile Road that we really need you to look at because it's not only that code enforcement has on the agenda, there's also like a vehicle in Clear Lake Oaks that was leaking or something like that. So that's going to be another summary abatement situation that we have to approve. So the more that, like, Lynn, even if you can get on that, or, you know, if you could just call in, you don't need to come to the courthouse, you can call in and talk about Manzanita the same way. Maybe we craft something like you wrote here just to say, I support what you're doing. I also would love for you to come look at Manzanita. I've made these complaints. I've talked to Supervisor Crandall. I've talked to everybody. I would just really love to see you circle back and bring Manzanita there and bring Pile there. This could be another way to do it. This could be another way to just get it out there, and maybe these guys will go and focus their attention, because everything you give to me, I forward to them too. You know, and I have to go through Maria. Maria has like a policy with the supervisors that we can't directly go to, you know, Marcus. I did it one time, but that also was very problematic because then we're all pulling at Marcus, you know. So what I get, I give to Maria, and then I touch base with her weekly, you know, with all of these different complaints. So I'm just giving that insight, and maybe we can organize that after this, since it's Tuesday. We can just organize what time, because I have the time set for that. It's already set on the agenda when it's going to be. So.
Is this like a budget meeting coming up soon? Because I know you and I talked about money, you know, there's not enough staff or something.
No. This is a summary summary abatement, so it's for a different property, but if you would call in and say, basically, I support and see this happening, and this is a good thing, we have areas in Nice that have, on my area, where you have right here. And if we were to get you to read this in citizens input, you can also just like say, and I talked about it in citizens input. So then that way it's kind of like on notice. What happens too is the board says, well, your supervisor's right here. And you guys would say, well, I've been talking to my supervisor and he's brought it forward. And so we're just kind of going in this circle. Because the more attention at the board, a lot of times, and I think Supervisor Lewis would know this as well, the more it's brought up in the board meeting, the more it gets more attention.
It'd be a good thing to bring up the 30 dump sites up around the Clear Lake Gardens.
Right. And another thing is the camera that's out there. There's a license plate camera that we have out there. It's a flock camera. It got broke. It's being replaced. Right. It's supposed to be fixed like within this week or so. That's the report that I got. So.
EJ, how long did it take for these several issues to come to light? It's on the agenda and they're going to move forward.
So these ones are their summary basically. So like somebody had. So what happened in Lucerne is there was someone delivering packages that called one of the code enforcement officers, and he's seen it and said, "Oh wow, we got to do something now." And then I went and checked on that when they went there, because they asked when you get a summary abatement, they contact me right away to see if I approve, and then county council. Then they went over to like 6th Avenue, right by the fire department. There was another one, and so it's just kind of happening in all these different places. So if we can, have these type of, statements in these meetings as well. It took a while, it takes a while, because that lady on 16th or whoever owns that property, that's been going on for a long time. The garbage was piled, and then there's quite a few that are the same way as well. I mean, there's one on Hudson, and of course Lynn had mentioned the Anita, that's been going for years. Hudson's been going for years. There's a couple others I know that Deb had mentioned as well, and so there's quite a bit. But if we can start, there's Clear Lake Oaks. I was just at the, not just Earth, but we had the CLOGBA meeting, which is like NSBA. It's their Clear Lake Oaks Glenhaven Business Association. They have the same problem with another lady in their community who's burning stuff in her yard and jeopardizing the neighbors and all of that stuff. So, and they're consistently, the fire department, the deputies are all going there, and it's just kind of stuck in this, and they've even abated that place like twice already. So yeah, some of this is like going to a state level where the state has, where we can't, what is that called? Where you can't, like if they have a mental capability and you can't, like, what is that called? Yeah, conservatorship. So that's apparently something that's going to be passing soon, which could help with situations like this. But in the meantime, you have people that just, because they can't be conserved, they continue to do the same thing. So I'm just giving this insight. So I'm hoping that maybe we can organize for Tuesday, and at least, I know it might seem to the chair, he might say, oh, well, this isn't about this. I'm gonna say, yes, it is. It's the same concept. Let's talk about it, So it would be just a good thing to bring up, I think.
Okay, and I could bring it up when it's brought up for your...
Yes, on the agenda, it looks like it's going to be, let me see here, because I have it. For right now, tentatively, it is going to be at E9. No, that's the second one. The first one is at 9:30. That's the 15th Avenue in Lucerne. So that one will be at 9:30. So it's usually 9:30. It shouldn't be, and if it is, it's going to be a couple minutes later. But we try to stay on schedule with that. So that'd be a way to just call in, or even be there. Anybody can make comments during public input. Just tie it to, this is a wonderful thing. Glad this is happening. We need to clean up Lake County. We have a situation on Manzanita that's the same thing, right in the next town over, in the same district, and bring up Pile Road the same way. Something like that. We have to figure out something,
So this is the Board of Supervisors meeting we go to?
Yes.
Regular meeting, yes.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, okay.
It's not the budget, it's just the agenda item. It's a regular agenda, and this is a summary abatement on the 6.7 at 9:30 on Tuesday.
Thank you, sir.
I want to thank you, each one of you, for presenting. My name is Shanina. I'm a resident back here in Upper Lake behind Rancheria here off Elk Mountain. And, you know, as I listen, we have the same problem all over the county. I wanted to address it on my road. We can name these people by name, okay? God bless them. I'm sorry for their very unfortunate circumstances. And they're all over our country. Okay, but right here in our county, if we remove them, where do they go? They just keep running back looking for shelter. Okay, these people, some of these back here, I don't want to go into names. Okay, so when you mention Tuesday, it makes me think as a citizens task force, as a joined group with one voice, that this has to change, and we're locally located. Somehow, trash management, everybody keeps washing their hands. We don't have the resources. It can go through so many offices and nothing happens. It's terrible to not get responded to. So perhaps with one message, maybe at a time like Tuesday, everybody can say no more like that, and then come up with a solution. The people have to be able to go somewhere. I don't know what the homeless solution is here, but the trash and these kind of health issues and the threat to our public safety with gunshots, and they're in our streets stealing our gas and our cars and our tools, you know. So anyway, thank you. I hope we can pull together.
Thank you. Yes, I think that's the code enforcement officers. Do you have?
Right now, they've lost 2, but they've just recruited 2 more. So I think they're going through training, so they're short 1, I think, for right now, is what I understand. That's what I was told.
So they are allowed to have how many total?
Like 6. And then there's also the 2 that's for the Roadmap Task Force in Clear Lake Oaks. And so I'll talk about Roadmap Task Force. Roadmap Task Force is funded by Cannabis, and it is right now focusing on Clear Lake Oaks. However, it ends in May, and so we're going to be discussing where that will go next. I've already mentioned before, and I'll say it again, I've been looking to try and get it over to Nice and Lucerne area, but you know, that's just my hope, you know, so as one supervisor, because I know that that's a demand and a need, especially with the light of what we're talking about. So that's the Roadmap Task Force. I don't know if I got it onto your Facebook page, but I did a video. Well, there was the January 23rd meeting. There was a workshop, and the sheriff gave a report. Everybody gave a report as a director. The sheriff gave his report and talked about the changes that were made for the budget, all of the things that we've done to try to recruit and retain, you know, officers, dispatch, corrections officers. It's a 17-minute video. I know I posted it on my Facebook page. I posted it on Surf and Earth, but I'll double check and see if we can get it on yours, because I just did specifically his report, because the video is like 5 hours long. I don't want you sifting through that. So I just, you know, I was on the plane last week, so I just shortened it and just made it into that one. So you can see where he says that there is light at the end of the tunnel as long as people stay, as long as we don't lose any officers. But with the incentives, if you start with the sheriff's department and you get the $10,000 incentive bonus, you have to stay a certain amount of time or you pay it back. So, you know, still knocking on wood, anything can happen. But at the same time, the percentages went up. Dispatch is almost full. Corrections went from like, I want to say like 50 to like 70 or 80%. Whereas before, all of the deputies that are needed on the streets were filling dispatch and corrections. And so Sheriff Howe was saying that if we can get things moving, if it stays in this direction, things are moving. If it stays in this direction, by June, July, latest August, we should see better or more robust patrols. Because right now we're at bare minimum, and we all know what that is. That's like 3 deputies on at a time or whatever. And so we're hoping to have it the way, and he mentions it in the video, so I urge you to look at that video and just watch that. He explains it better, and I invert the numbers. I say how filled they are. He talks about how vacant they are. So, but you'll be able to understand once you watch the video. So, but just letting you know some of the decisions and some of the work that's been done to give the sheriff the resources he needs he's saying is working. So, you know, let's see if that works out, and hopefully it keeps going and we can get some, you know, some things done. Yeah.
A couple comments on that. First off, the road task force, that'll be coming on one of your agendas that you can have public input once you guys.
I think so. First, it would have to come which is myself and Supervisor Spatier. Then it'll come to the board, and when that comes, that's when you'll be able to.
Make input to support Nice and Lucerne having it. And you'll have the funds for that as well?
It's slated, yes.
Yeah. And that'll be, you think in May?
That's when it ends in May.
Then when do you think it'll be coming?
The June meeting would be that would be the budget timeframe, so it'll probably be around I think in the mid, let me see real quick, I got the calendar. So I think it would be like mid-June, I want to say like the second week in June, when we have the third week in June.
You'll make us aware of that when it comes up on the agenda?
The budget is the third, so not the 19th, but the 18th is when we have the budget hearings.
And second comment on the, just my opinion on the sheriff. I understand what Sheriff Howe's committing to and it's a great job in getting the continued elevation of the wages for, and giving it to the sheriff department and the dispatchers. But I think what Luke Bingham, who's going to be the next sheriff in a year, has talked about is community officers. And I really think that's going to be a key to elevating their presence in our community. Patrols going up the streets, and I know you just mentioned how I was discussing that, but really, if they're just going up the streets at 2 to 5 in the morning, that would be a huge help. I think we all know that, and hopefully Sheriff Howe is going to be looking at that, because I see the sheriffs and they're on the freeway, a 20 corridor, but they don't leave. I don't think they leave the 20 corridor that much. I do see them go up my road. I think there was one up my road yesterday. I live on Floyd. But 2 to 5 a.m. would be the best time for them to be roaming around, because that's when...
I don't know if things change a lot, Supervisor, but it's been too many years since I've been in code enforcement. But we had cases before the board every week when we were there, and there was only 3 or 4 of us on the whole thing. And their laws may have changed where it's more difficult now. Vehicle abatement, we charged the last registered owner. They paid to have the car towed. We don't care if it was on someone else's property. If it wasn't licensed, you look at the VIN, look it up. The bill would go to the last homeowner. They were always shocked. Well, but I sold that car. Well, you never went through the paperwork, did you? No, but okay, so they paid. When we used to tear houses down, we used to clean up properties, we used to do all kinds of abatements, and it just went on and on and on. And Pile Road, that's been an issue since I moved here in the 70s, and it hasn't changed much, but I feel for you. I can understand it, but it seems like if you had a full task force of code officers, they'd have cases just piled up.
And it talks about the numbers in Clear Lake Oaks. And so if we could emphasize and get that move to Nice, Lucerne, the areas we're talking about, that would put a lot of focus like you're talking about in that area. So yeah. So
it's been successful, would you say?
I would say, but then there's some that would say it's not, but that's a perspective. but Thomas, you've been to the Earth meetings. The majority of them are very satisfied. Yeah.
Marcus mentioned that in the last 2 years of task force in Oaks, they retrieved or got rid of 450 vehicles. I don't know all the other specifics, but when comments were being made in the local public, there wasn't a lot of negativity towards it. I go through there every day going to work, and I've always seen the sheriffs there. Again, they're on 20, sitting there. I'm not sure why they're sitting there waiting for, I'm not sure. They don't have radars in their cars, do they? They should have radars in their cars, another comment. But I always wanted to go to them and say, okay, now, I haven't asked the public, the local residents, if they go up the streets and roam around and do what I think is needed, Presence is everything.
One of the discussions that I had with Sheriff Howe a couple of weeks back was, if there was a possibility, or what he would like to see and envision is the task force not only staying there, but also moving and then just having a task force in every area like he said at one time, it was like that, I think, before, where they had not a station, but the area was covered that way. Because of specific laws, that's usually what's talked about, but still, he does want to move in that direction. I'm hoping that Luke takes that.
Well, I know
their
their staffing is an ongoing issue, but we need to get a drug task force going again here. I don't know how, maybe they can be creative about how to deal with that, but wow. I mean,
when I seen the state representatives that came for the Hitch task force meeting or something like that, I talked about illegal cannabis up in the hills, and I says, a couple of you guys, because I know they are really tight with the governor, I says, are real close to the governor, and he does have the National Guard at his disposal. And we have problems with retaining law enforcement, and I know when I served in the reserves, I loved being on active reserve or active guard because you get all of that pay and time and service. So I don't know. That's just me. If I was ever to be a governor, that's what I would do. but I don't know if that'll ever happen.
All right. Thank you.
You happy?
I'm always happy.
All right.
I'm happy when the meeting's done.
So Powell Road is still there.
We're working on it.
It hasn't changed much.
Look at this, all this action. We got.
Yeah, everybody's involved.
We got activities coming out of
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David. Traffic safety.
Okay, I want to report back and restate that each board meeting, I bring up the school safety. School board meeting, right. And I went a little bit further this last time because I requested a report from transportation. What I wanted to know was the general feeling of parents not feeling comfortable with their kindergartners on the bus. So, I kind of put two and two together, and I realized that there are a huge number of parents that are using the drop-off system, and this is what's congesting the area. Again, obviously the school cannot place marked crosswalks for them to get from side to side. I just spoke very, strongly and from my heart that this is an accident ready to happen. It's because people are not even observing. When you come in, you're to go to the right, and they're going to the left, and it's very, very. Yeah, the main problem. They'll go any which way, and they're parking, kind of wherever, and it just remains a problem. I won't give up. I'm going to continue. I've presented this to Mr. De Leon, and I realize he's up for retirement in June. But I called and made a request of some drive-bys. Can you, and last he said.
Why can't we have crossing guards?
Well, we don't have a crosswalk. We don't have crosswalks.
Why can't you have somebody directing traffic at the drop-off and say, go this way, not that way?
Well, it would be, it's a real contentious group of parents, and, I sit there and watch all this going on, but I'm not going to give up on the fact that when we approached Scott De Leon about coming out, I sent you the pictures. He had said not until August, they won't look at it. Well, I'm hoping that whoever replaces him, can kind of, realize the severity of the system and come out and look and place crosswalks where they're needed and in some way work on this traffic.
So, but why can't we have somebody directing traffic?
Well, the school doesn't want to, cross that line. The liability they couldn't cover the liability.
Of directing people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'd have to have and my other issue happens to be the dangerous Highway 20 and the number of fatalities. It's very, very, I think there were 2 in one evening, and 3. So we've got to do something. And I realize that a number of people that walk on the road are dressed in black. I've seen it. I don't drive at night anymore, but I have seen it. And I'm thinking, you know, I ran this by a few people, and they need reflective clothing, or just leave some tape out there and put it on them. But, you know, I just think this is tragic that this is happening, and we need to look at some way to prevent this from happening. I'm not sure what that is or how we should approach it, but...
Can I comment on that? I just want to, I have talked to some people about, and EJ knows that, too, of course, that Caltrans is going to be funding and going out for bid, crosswalks throughout the North Shore. It's going to be bidding soon, and then I asked the liaison, Brett, who's handling this, is it going to be, when it's going to be completed? He said this year. So we should start seeing work on that.
Because I remember some years back, we were told from Caltrans that, and maybe I'll stand corrected, but they said that there had to be a certain number of fatalities before they'd step in and do something. And I mean, 3 in the course of...
6.
Oh, 6 now? Okay. Well, that's good. Then, okay, that's new news, because they had changed it from 19 down to 16. February, yeah. So, is this what's prompting them now? Is this 6?
Well, I'm on the Pedestrian, Bicycle, and Advisory Committee. We meet every few months for a funding source called Complete Streets. This isn't what the funding source for the crosswalks is. This is a different funding source. The Complete Streets, we had a presentation here and at all the meetings about how the feedback on improvements in the corridor, and that's not going to take place till 2031.
Or it's not going to be completed.
Yeah.
Or it's not going to start till then?
Right, you're right.
We are having a meeting next month, and as a representative and as an avid cyclist and hiker and pedestrian, I understand the safety measures that need to happen on this corridor. But I have to admit that coming through this corridor every night home, that a lot of these people are not wearing clothing that should be worn at night when they're doing their...
If there was something like signage, no, I'm just saying, that just like every, you can't get away from, don't kill people on the road sort of thing.
Well, I also think too, and Deb Clark...
Something is blasting it, or like the road signs, watch out for people walking on the sides of the road. Would that be Caltrans that would do that? Yeah. So we need to.
And I believe it have commented on the Facebook with Deb Clark that the CHP, and I think Deb's mentioned this as well, need to, and I think they mentioned it through an article through Record B, that they're going to be contacting Caltrans themselves, and hopefully that'll hasten maybe some of these projects that can help with these fatalities. It's just awful.
I think we've had 3 traffic studies.
In the North Shore.
Yes, at least 3.
And what was their conclusion, Deb? Anything?
It was fabulous, you know. I thought something was going to happen, and nothing happened. I think we got a sign. It was before the pandemic, and then, so I remember we weren't wearing masks at the meeting, so I know that, and they brought cookies. But it was at Nice, it was at Nice.
That's a good one.
Well, cookies are important. At least we listened then. But anyway, it was at the Nice Event Center, which was Sons of Italy at the time. So it was Sons of Italy at the time. And then we had another one at Lucerne Senior Center. And I forget where the other one, there was one, then we had another one at the Sons of Italy. And every time we were promised a crosswalk with a flashing sign. But both times I asked, how is that going to happen? And it had to be over a certain amount of casualties. And I said, how many? And they said 6 per town. I think we're over that. I mean, in Nice, I know we are. I think we've had about 6.
You know, it sounds kind of callous, but you can't do anything about stupidity. And when people walk out, what do you need? I don't care if it's signed or...
The thing that gets me is you can be driving along the road, and it's like if you lose focus for a moment, you can just drift over to the side, and somebody could be, you know, it's kind of scary.
On the other hand, my wife and I were coming back from the Oaks, and right in Nice, 2 guys on drugs were dodging cars in and out of traffic. Well, finally, one of the cars right in front of us got him, and we had to stop and witness it. That's stupidity. And the mother comes running out of the house, "Oh, you hit my son, I'm going to sue." Right away, that's what they want to do. It's, you know, this is a great organization, and I've heard no less than, 500 problems you're up against? And I've always learned that if you take one issue, like Pile Road, for instance, I'm sorry, hey, pay attention. Take one issue like Pile Road, and all of us go to the supervisors meeting on public input, and okay, we want something done about this. It's out of hand, and it's been that way for 40 years. It's time to look at it. It's a paper subdivision up there. The realtors keep taking them back and buying them when they're on a tax sale, and they advertise them in Florida. Somebody, look, you can have this beautiful view lot that overlooks Clear Lake. They've never seen it. It's only $600, so they buy it. Then they come to California and say, "I want to go see my property." Well, it's up there. Oh, well, then they don't pay the taxes. So then it goes on the tax rolls again. That's what the county supervisors have been up against this forever. But you can fix the trash and stuff, but you can do it in numbers. Go and let's get together. Let's make sure we all show up there. We don't want to beat up our supervisor. We want to make it known is what we want to do.
We do have one thing we did in CERN last year, and we're going to do it again. I worked with a local waste company, and I know your husband, right? He knows about it too. We worked with them to do a dump in Lucerne. It worked really well. We got 18,000 tons or something like that, and now it was something like that. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, and so we're looking to do it again, but we also want to do one in Nice too. So. Well, we're working on a couple for right now, but yeah, at least Nice and Lucerne, you know, and so I just want to make sure that at least with that, and I want to make sure we can do something like so that Pile has an opportunity. You know what I mean? So we have to figure out what place in Nice would be ideal. In Lucerne, I can work with the people at the castle. They're willing to let us use that, but in Nice, there's very few spots except for Pile Road is an ideal spot. But there's also, what's that? Community center. Oh,
the event center?
The event center?
Events.
Well, I'd have to talk to Lynn. But yeah, it would be a good idea to start brainstorming where, if we can, you know.
I mean, the event center could be a possible space. I don't know I would have to, you know, since Robin and Tracy have an office there, they can talk to Lynn and find out.
I can talk to Lynn too, but we need a spot that won't get, because it's going to get crowded once people know.
How about the community park? Was it on Cannon where you have a dog park and then you have a lot of parkland?
That is a good, you know what, that might be the ideal place because you can just pull on one side. Yeah.
You mean
on Hammond? On
Oh, that's a great idea.
Well, what they do is they park, the waste company comes with like these big dumpsters, and then they all park, and then they let you dump, and then they take it back and forth while you continue to dump, but then they get full. If they can travel to Clear Lake or the dump station, they might do a couple of those runs, but they do it all right there. So it's just a matter of the people pulling in and having a line that's coordinated and doesn't block traffic or anything.
Is that available for each community, or is it just?
Well, right now, I've only done it for Lucerne, and I know that I'm scheduling for Lucerne again, and so I know that I want to do it for Nice because I know Nice has had an issue. So I want to see how I can do this incrementally and not over. The problem is, not the problem, but the challenge is, I would say, is that the Waste Solutions Company also does Clear Lake, so I have to coordinate it to where it's not something they're having to do every weekend. I know they want to do it because I'm able to figure out a way to fund it, but then the people that are doing the work is the thing. That's the issue. So, so I'm thinking if I can do the one in Lucerne and, right. But if I can do the one in Lucerne in May, and then we can do Nice and then Upper Lake, we just have to figure out and sparse it out. So when I talk to the representative, I'll get you a better date.
Okay.
But for sure, I know Lucerne's coming, probably going to come in May.
Well, that would be great.
So you want, why don't you come up, why don't you come up?
Is this working?
Yeah, it should be working.
My name is Richard Nickel. Listen, I have to concur with Lynn over here. There's some problems there on Manzanita, but I had an alarm go off in one of my rentals, and 2 sheriff's deputies were there within 20 minutes. I mean, these guys are good guys. And the first thing they looked at my place, they said, this is a great house and stuff, and are you going to rent it or whatever? Some of these deputies don't have any good places to live, to find. There's no rentals up here. It's hard.
Yeah.
And if they do find something, it's junk. It's not just the salaries. It's just they don't have a nice place to stay.
Or with a family and that whole thing.
And, they need to drive, some of the sheriff's deputies need to drive through some of the inside roads and stuff instead of just going down 20. They need to go up and let people know that there's a police presence.
Well, I've seen them on Manzanita.
Yeah, I'm working on a
But
house right there.
Manzanita's pretty easy to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy on, easy off, but they go by and, that would help probably Lynn over here because these guys are cutting up cars and stuff. I don't know what they're doing down there. I mean, it's a chop shop. They should be able to take some of those license plates and look at them and see if they're, valid cars they're working on.
And
then on the freeway, all they need to do is put rumble strips inside those. They're using those as those suicide lanes as passing lanes. That's where all the fatalities are. They just need to put the rumble stains in there where the turns go left, right, into the businesses or wherever. And that'll slow them down. People don't want to go over those at 60 miles an hour.
If you're gonna be turning and you know it, you're not gonna be worried about going
Right,
over the rumble strip.
but these people that are using
Or
that.
you're gonna put up with it to stop people.
Yeah, but
from-
if you're doing 60, 70 miles an hour through town and you hit those rumble strips, it's
I
going
remember
to tear up your road.
Nice. I remember in Nice,
Your tires.
there was a fellow passing a semi in the middle of Nice, in
Yeah.
that middle lane, coming straight at me.
Yeah.
And that's not smart. Well, the fellow, yeah, I know. Traffic safety. All right. We're gonna have to finish up pretty quick. Vegetation removal request, we have any information that's new? All right, so we're gonna move to drop flood, and we're in a flood situation at the moment. Have we had any?
I actually have there's something on the agenda Tuesday
About?
the levees maintenance.
Yes.
So let me just pull it real quick for you.
We had a water meeting in Upper Lake
Last week.
last week.
Yeah.
And Scott Leon and some of
The Peterson, Brewstat, and all of them.
And that report was, remember, it was supposed to be October.
It's
of
a year or something
what?
late, yeah.
Yeah, but
But they weren't really.
I wasn't really encouraged by the outcome because the cost factor is so exorbitant, and it's like, what can we do? We know that the vegetation's there, and I was told by Scott, well, I respectfully disagree with you that we're not working on it. And anyway, I didn't leave there with any real satisfaction of, he put up 3 different phases and
They had 12 different solutions.
Yeah, but-
And they wanted comments, and as far as I know, no one left a comment.
Well, so what I do know is next week, there's going to be an agreement for the flood system repair project for the Upper Lake levee system at 2 points where they will do some repairs, and they're going to do a contract. So that's going to help with that same area of the diversion.
Clogged, right.
Right, so that's on the agenda for it's on the consent agenda, so it shouldn't, I mean, unless someone wants to pull it or, but that's going forward. The other thing about that is, that's another thing Caltrans funded, and I think I showed it to you all before,
Yep.
that they'll be working on that or that area for the vegetation removal as well in the future, of course, but that's another thing that will help with that. I do know they've talked about, and I don't know if they mentioned it last week, about partnering with Terra or even with the Hogback Ridge Group to clear brush, but I know that's been discussed. And then on Clover Creek, they were giving out right of entry forms last year for folks so that they can clear that area as well.
That's right, yeah.
So I know that there's some work being at least pushed forward on for some of that. As for the other stuff, last week, I just know they had the meeting and I didn't really get a report on it as to how it happened. Was there a video? Did they record?
Was it what?
Did they record it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think
I
so.
don't believe so.
Okay.
But I could
It was
be
just,
wrong.
no, they didn't have any.
Okay, I'll just touch base with Scott.
Yeah.
I was in DC, so I wasn't able to join, but
Can I ask a question on that? I was away for a minute, but are they still doing the project that was presented to us by Marina?
The last,
Yeah.
Is that still proceeding on track even though the parties have?
it's funny because like at this meeting, they didn't even talk about that diagram they had of the cutaway and it's going to do this,
Do you
that.
know,
and the other.
EJ, if that project is still on track for the timeline, even though Scott's retiring and Marina's
so
now
are you
gone?
talking about the Caltrans project, or are you talking about
Oh, I don't have it here. I have the whole thing in a folder. It was a PowerPoint presentation.
Where they had the diagram.
Right, that actually is being funded and proceeding on schedule.
by Caltrans, right?
Oh, shoot.
Um,
I'll have to
They
follow
didn't
up with
speak
you on
about
it.
anything like that. That was just basically,
I have the PowerPoint in a folder, but I don't.
It seemed to me that they were starting over from zero.
well, I kind of felt that, with the sediment, trying to get that all.
They
and
talked
then the
about that.
exorbitant costs of everything. But I went away with thinking, well, what exactly, because they were going to do another study. And I asked, I think I asked how much would that cost, and he never answered me. But, I realize the importance of studies, but, with the time in between that huge lapse when remember when we broke down into different groups? And my assumption was that they were going to conclude it and get it back quickly.
So we could move into a different phase.
Right,
Yeah.
and this was just like he was presenting the first time. The study that was done and the
They were
results of it.
asking us for input
Yes, yeah, but,
after all this time that we've been giving them input about this, that, and the other, the history of the whole levee system and what we think should be done, which is basically return it to its original state. But now they're talking about the hitch, which, and they're talking about leaving the trees on the side of the channel and just going after. Now, they also said that the people on Clover Creek could get in there and clean it.
But that's what the right of entry forms are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
After July 1st,
Right.
not before.
Oh.
You have one?
January 2nd, told me that I can't go on the creek after I've been told for 15 years, I can't go on the creek. Whatever the regulations were, not allowed in the creek, okay?
At a certain time of the year or ever?
No, period. We're not allowed to go in there and disturb the habitat. Finally found out that I can go in there and clear it. I've been working on the edge of it, trying to stay out of jail doing this, right?
Yeah.
But I get the letter that says I can go in there, but it's already 2 days past the expiration date.
Okay, but I mean, that's like an every year thing, right? Not necessarily.
This is the first time,
Okay.
yeah. We got the letter in the mail last year, and we signed it, sent it back in. Yes, you have clearance to go in the
Right of
creek.
entry, okay.
Okay, that's cool. I've been working on the edge to keep it down as much as I can without stepping in the water or whatever.
Yep.
And I said, so now I have to wait till July 1st.
From what I understand, there's
Hopefully-
supposed to be,
Hopefully, my house is not underwater by then.
from what I understand, the Conservation Corps is supposed to help with that process too. That's what was told when I first seen the right of entry forms. Because I was surprised. One of my friends from high school was like, "Is this happening?" And I was like, "Wait, is that an old letter or what's going on?" I didn't even know. And so when I seen it, I asked, and they said, "Yes, that's what we're doing. Conservation Corps is going to come and help." So I was pretty excited about it, but now yeah. So hopefully,
Not until July, right?
yeah.
All right. Thank you, EJ. Okay, do we have any announcements? Any announcements?
I just want to thank Tammy. I had a couple members come out.
Is this Tammy here?
This Tammy from NCO. Had a couple members came out from CERC. Is it California? California Emergency Response Corps, funded by AmeriCorps.
Yes, there are AmeriCorps members that are specifically in California. I believe there's 62 of them. We have 7, really 5 here in Lake County, and they're serving for a year, so they started technically back in September, and they're serving through July.
That's great. And Amy and Don show up along with Tim and Linda and Kate's not here, and myself and Dennis, and we cleaned up the Nice Cutoff on Saturday the 13th. Or do I forget the date? But we found a bunch of flat screen TVs. They did. Out of the bushes. And it got a lot up. A lot more needs to be done. I'm gonna reach out to them again. But thank you so much for that. And of course, thank the road crew who in our district for picking up all our garbage and disposing of it. So great. Thank you so much for that.
Can I say one?
Absolutely, you can.
So, yeah, thank you, Thomas. And they're available. I mean, we're always looking for projects. So if you have something that's community-minded, their name again, California Emergency Response Corps. So all of this stuff. We're going to sandbag in Ukiah today, but it fell through. But there's projects like that we can get them out doing. On another note, we have a grant through California Volunteers for Neighbor to Neighbor, which supports, you guys are probably getting sick of me saying this, but we got an extension on the grant to do some Neighbor Fest events. So I'm still looking for places or people that want to bring their community together to have a event. I have money to buy things like jumpy houses, and I can't buy food and I can't buy swag, but no, I can't buy beer either. That's food. But I can,
You can buy soda.
I can buy entertainment. I can pay for a band. And
I know
so,
the band.
you
I
know,
the band.
so if you want to have this, hopefully before May 31st, talk to me, because I've got money to have this, and I have more money than I thought I had. So I would love.
You have to spend?
I have money that needs to be spent on these Neighbor Fest events, basically AKA block party to promote preparedness. So
What if you could use it to raise money for the bond for our fire department and the sheriff?
if you know what, if you want to have a block party to bring all your neighbors together, and Terry will be there. I mean, I have different organizations that say, I want to come, I want to be a part of your event. I have the, what are they from the ag department? The, Louise Pagani.
I'm trying to
I
think
can't
of the
think
name,
of, but she'll talk about like fire safe plants, and she'll do, like a whole tabling on that. We have different, Fire Safe Council would be there, just different agencies that say, sign me up for each of them that you're doing. I have 4 on the books in April right now. I want to have at least 2 more before May. So talk to me. May 4th, I think, is Wildfire Prevention Day, so that's and it's still open. I had Hidden Valley Lake canceled. So if you're interested, talk to me. I'll stick around a few minutes after the meeting.
I'll just make a quick comment. On the 28th of this month, there's going to be a little celebration at the elementary school. We, as a school, have partnered with the Blue Zone. So they're going to have a kind of an open house and just a celebration of that event at 4 o'clock. And it says they'll serve food, but you got to get there, quick. And just kind of a tour of the, a tour of the elementary school grounds and so forth. So
In Upper Lake?
4 o'clock
okay.
on the 28th.
All right. Anything else? We're getting right on time, too. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.
Still end up with a mic at the